When I came back to my hometown for the summer vacation a few years ago, I happened to encounter something very strange that obsessed me and my friends. My village had a large stream near the forest edge. The water was always rolling like in the sea, but the water level was not that high. Some other children in the village and I had a hobby of going to the stream to catch fish. We felt safe when we played here because the water level was just above our knees. Our favorite game was always a fishing contest in which we compete to see who would catch the most fish. We all loved this game so much that we kept playing until it was nearly dark. We would catch a small fish only until the sun went down and the sunset embraced my village. When we saw the fish struggling in the basket, we all shouted with delight as if we had discovered a treasure. More or less, fish we caught were placed in a large bucket of water next to us to be taken home for dinner. We were discussing bringing these fish home as the sky darkened, when I happened to notice a shadow at the head of the river. Curiosity drove me to turn my gaze to the shadowy figure of the large man in front of me. I tried to look around to see who this man was, but I couldn't recognize him. In the dim light, I noticed a large man with a bloated stomach and pale skin. His head was bald, his face was lifeless, and he kept his gaze fixed on the rushing flow. When I noticed this, I summoned my friends and gazed into the direction of the enigmatic giant man. The other boys were surprised to see the man, believing that they had never seen him before in my village. Suddenly, this man turned to face us and waved at us. As soon as I realized this, I turned to my friends and asked if they wanted to go to the mysterious man's place. We were hesitant and scared at first because we were meeting strangers. My friends even called out to that man, but he didn't respond. He kept staring at us, his behavior enigmatic, but inviting. His hand kept beckoning us. We began to wonder at this point. My backup friend advised me to give it a try and go to the man to check it out. So we all decided to run to this big man to find out who he was. We dashed off and called out loud to ask for his name, but he remained silent in the distance. I could see this man until I was only a few meters away, and suddenly I couldn't see him anymore. When we arrived at his previous location, we discovered him lying on a large rock. His entire body became stiff and motionless. His skin was the same color as the large rock below. We got close to this big man at this point, realizing he might be as big as a rock in the middle of the river, which made us both scared and curious. We formed a circle around the man, gradually learning about his strange behavior. Suddenly he opened his eyes. A strange pair of eyes that didn't look human glared at me, and he looked like a corpse instead of a human. We all screamed in terror and immediately took a step back. We didn't start running home until we saw him standing up straight and we forgot our fish tank. When I got home, I immediately told my parents about the incident on the stream bank. My face flushed with fear. The adults in the house began to go out to check, inadvertently meeting my friends' families and hearing the same story. I was alone in my room that night, not daring to leave, anxiously awaiting my parents' response. In my mind, I suddenly remembered the story of the giant stone man that my grandmother had always told me when I was a child, and I felt a chill. Instead of being obsessed by the giant stone man on the other side of the river, I decided to go to bed early. After a while of thinking, I began to feel tired. My eyes were closed, and I was about to fall asleep. But as night fell, I was startled to feel a cold wind blowing into my room, just like what I felt like at the riverbank. Before I could understand what was going on, there was a very loud noise passing by my house outside my room's windows, which piqued my interest enough that I had to wake up to investigate. Looking out the windows, I noticed a figure approaching, still holding a large bronze gong and occasionally knocking on it. Everyone in my village could hear the sound of bronze gongs, but every time this man passed by any house, the windows and main door were slammed shut. I was the only one who opened the windows and looked outside to see what was going on because I was too curious. I tried to hide behind the wall, hoping no one would notice me as I waited for the man with the gongs to arrive. A figure appeared a few moments later. I recognized the faint shadow of the giant I met earlier on the riverbank from afar. He was walking straight towards my house, trailed by a shaman who was striking a gong to indicate the way. When the man arrived at my house, I noticed that there was still a few cracks on his body that looked like a large rock had been broken into pieces. The shaman in the back walked behind the giant, holding the gong and knocking each time, mumbling the incantation as if guiding him. The gong sounded very loud. The more I heard it, the more my ears became numb, and it became louder and louder. An unpleasant fishy odor suddenly arose from the giant's body as he began to approach in front of my windows. At this point, I realized with horror that this stone man was not only a massive rock in the shape of a human, but also a corpse. As he walked, he lowered his face to the ground, his eyes gleaming like the devil's. Wherever he went, the flesh on his body fell to the ground and formed murky puddles that resembled river water. His flesh began to disintegrate, forming pools of water one by one along the road in my village, smelling like fish. I saw the horror scene unfolding in front of my eyes and had to scream in fear. My yell inadvertently struck the giant in front of me. He abruptly changed color, his sight softened, and his face was startled, as if he had just realized something. He began to turn his face to look directly at me, leaving me perplexed and confused as how to handle it. He glared at me with evil eyes. His mouth began to decompose, and his teeth were nearly completely gone. Then, he approached my windows as if he was about to break in and take me away. In a panic, I jumped back intending to close the windows to protect myself. The shaman walking behind saw everything at the precise moment. He appeared to recognize the danger in front of me. His eyes became more serious. He struck the bronze gong right away, and the sound of the gong immediately drew the giant's attention. Then he turned to me and told me to be quiet. After that, he knocked the gong repeatedly while mumbling the incantation. The gong's sound was becoming increasingly loud. When this giant heard the gong, he suddenly floated into the air and became motionless, creating a ghostly and frightening scene. The shaman then knocked the gong and hurried to get the stone giant out of the village as soon as possible, not forgetting to tell me to close the windows and stop being nosy. I was too curious at the time, and I couldn't control myself, so I stayed by the window frame, keeping an eye on the figure that was slowly vanishing. The shaman then turned and led his massive stone man down a path that led into the forest by the river, where we played at this afternoon. I winced, perplexed. I had no idea what the hell this giant stone man was, but it was extremely frightening to me. I only knew that inside the forest where the shaman led the stone man, a very large old tree was discovered, along with a large stone that looked very strange.